Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hamad Khader, Director of International Operations and Ministry of Interior, United Arab Emirates, and in the Secretariat of Secure Community Forum. I am pleased to welcome you all to the latest Secure Community Forum webinar, dedicated to mitigating the broad impact of hate speech.
Let me just explain a little bit what the Secure Community Forum is. It's an initiative supported by the UAE Ministry of Interior. So rather than looking at security matters from a top-down perspective, we take a community-centric approach. So we focus on the intersections of universal security challenges and local communities. Our objective is to provide a platform where professionals across diverse disciplines, such as law enforcement agencies, technology, civil society, and others, can come together to network and learn and share ideas on a global level and coordinate better to address most pressing issues impacting our community. So we chose to initiate an event focused specifically on combating and educating about hate speech, because we believe that beyond its possibility to invite and lead to actual violence, hate speech has a tangible impact, not only in individuals, but entire communities. Hate speech isolates, weakens, and alienates victims, which can worsen existing social tensions and distance tolerance and economic opportunities.
So this event will explore the latest trends in the hate speech, threats from multidisciplinary perspective, and explore the key strategies to combat the threat from the range of crucial pillars, including the role of tech in combating hate, the role of civil society in advocating for victims, the role of government and law enforcement in preventing the hate speech, how a responsible citizen can act against the speech.
And first of all, thank you so much for having this extremely important conversation today. And I hope I can at least give you some perspectives from at least one rather large law enforcement agency here in the US. As introduced, my name is Lieutenant Stephen Sarro. I am the unit commander of the Racially Ethnically Motivated Extremism Unit. We refer to it as REMI. Our unit develops long-term confidential investigations with a focus on groups and individuals who pose a violent threat, specifically to New York City and a larger area, which is based upon racially and ethnically motivated violent extremism. I think arguably the thing that keeps us up at night is the lone wolf attack, is that individual that is constantly ingesting tons of propaganda, tons of things that are online. And these are the things that we look at and we monitor. And I think that I would unpack this into three main reasons. First, I think we're seeing a much more restrictive social media policy around policy, right? We see that privacy is a main component for social media companies. They thrive and their bread and butter is ensuring that individuals can say anything and everything that they want. These companies seek to meet the needs of their customers. The customers are interested in greater encryption, shifting to more secure chat applications, online gaming platforms, message boards. In the US, obviously, these challenges bring up a second factor that I would mention, which is obviously law enforcement and all of us within legislature and government are concerned with protecting constitutionally protected speech. Simply put, I think that we have lost the ability to disagree in a civil way. We've lost the ability to have reasonable discourse. Radicalization, as I'm sure all of us will recognize, happens slowly. It happens online. And we now have an individual's ability to sort of cherry pick from a virtual salad bar of opinions and ideologies. That's the stark reality that law enforcement deals with. This is not an easy conversation, and I applaud those that have formulated this conversation today. The Secretariat is you guys are embarking on an amazing program here, and we're there fully engaged with you to work through this.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm delighted to be involved, and especially as such esteemed company. So as said, my name is Sue Jones, and I am the head of operations at Ditch the Label. So we're a global youth charity that originally started life as an anti-bullying charity, but gradually broadened our work because obviously there are so many interconnections with the many issues that young people face. We're talking here about hate crime. We do a combination of smaller research where we'll speak to thousands of young people across United Kingdom schools, and we find out exactly what's happening from them. So for example, we'd ask a question like, what do you think is the definition of bullying? And they will tell us their long form answer, and we say, okay, based on your definition, have you ever been bullied? Have you ever seen that bullying? Have you ever bullied somebody else based on your own definition? So that's really important for us, that we understand what the system is like. So we do that from them, but we also do big data. So we look at millions and millions of conversations over specific periods of time. And this looks at all public conversations that are held across, various social media platforms, all of them included. They look at blogs and forums and responses to those, and we can really measure what the public is feeling about a certain thing. Now, we studied 263 million online conversations, all looking at hate speech. Every single one of them studied the hate speech. Now, based on that, these are just top line things on that. There was a new post about race or ethnicity based hate speech every 1.7 seconds. Now, that is astonishing. This was literally, there was no stop between that, 1.7 seconds, another post, another post. And then largely there was a lot of anti-Asian hate speech, which was massive. And this was all tied into the pandemic and all the conversations around that. And anti-Asian hate speech increased by an astonishing 1,662% in 2020 compared to 2019. At the peak of the hate speech discussions, online discussions occurred prior to the peak of actual real-world hate crimes. So these conversations occurred just before the surges in hate crime. So this really suggested to us the really dangerous impact that online hate speech has on real-world violent attacks. There was an actual link between those two. And I completely agree with what our previous speaker was saying, in that we've become incredibly polarized. People tend to now be very far left, very far right. There's not much of a movable middle anymore. And I think what is problematic, certainly in the UK, is there is a lot of airtime and TV time and media space given to quite hateful voices, which is never balanced up with the people who are the collateral damage of that. And it is, unfortunately, can really filter down to be sort of almost like they're debating their right to exist as people, which is, obviously this isn't something that we should or could have. We are huge proponents of working together with other people. So we do a lot of policy work as also behind the scenes. So we're involved in the UK on things like the Online Harm Safety Bill and the Law Commission that makes things what are illegal offline are also illegal online, to really get those up, and making things safer by design. I agree that there is more that social media platforms can and should be doing, but it's too simplistic, I think, to put it completely just on that. We all have a duty to be involved in this. So I think, and with reporting hate crime, and I can obviously only speak from the UK, there is a lack of reporting, because often the people who are the most likely to need to report a hate crime often have the most to fear from authority, and may not have had great experiences before. And obviously we know this leads to safer spaces. We want to make sure we protect people, all people, but certainly people with unique characteristics and protected characteristics. That's vital.
So my name is Elia Oroth, and I'm the founder of the Online Anti-Semitism Task Force. I created the task force more than 10 years ago because the internet brought a problem. On social media, unaccountable users rather than responsible editors are the main creators of content. So from hateful crimes around the world to terrorism in our own backyards, hateful online rhetoric transforms into real consequences too frequently. Those haters before the internet were hiding in their mom's basement or in close circles with no access to the outside world. Today, hate speech is like constant, it's everywhere, with web platforms and social media way behind the curve. Concretely, we started to create online communities of more than 100,000 members in several languages, including English, German, French, Arabic, and Hebrew. They help us monitor and report hateful content. And with them, this last 10 years, we removed more than 130,000 posts and videos and thousands of hateful accounts. So today we are focusing our work in two directions. First, to educate the social media policy team on hate and help them implement their own guidelines. By the way, every social media has one guideline that is important to us. They do not allow hate. The problem is that they do not recognize it. They are not educated to deal with it. As an example, it took them more than 15 years to understand that Holocaust denial is hate speech. I can explain why after in question and answer, but today they still not fully implement this specific policy. We are trusted partners with Meta and Google, and Meta even funding our work this last couple of years. But it takes time, definitely too much time, and it brings death and chaos around the world. You might remember what happened in Buffalo months ago. An 18-year-old Caucasian boy killed 10 black people in a supermarket. What that boy declared to the police afterward is exactly what he found online on mainstream social media like YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and what we fight for so many years. Many in Europe still know and remember what hate speech and violent rhetoric lead to. We are working with members of the European Parliament for a few years, informing them of what is really happening online and how main social media platforms deal with it. And I'm very optimistic that this can lead to strong regulations. Germany is a good example, but it must happen at a larger scale, at a bigger level. A concrete action was taken last November on the anniversary of the Kristallnacht, an early Nazi pogrom against Jewish people with MEPs, members of European parliaments, reporting hateful online content. For all of them, it was the first time that they actually saw hateful content online. And for all of them, it was the first time that they reported such content to main social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. The results were shocking, to say the least. So the tech problem we are facing has, in my opinion, only a human answer. Artificial intelligence promoted by social media to monitor their platform are still more artificial than intelligent.
We will continue this discussion. As we mentioned on the beginning, we'll have lots of similar activities, discussion, working groups, aiming to have by end of this year a comprehensive national response model, maybe combating this hate speech. Thank you so much for the discussion. It was an eye-opening really to what you said here. Thank you so much for the participant for joining us.